All right, welcome everybody. We have John Davis. We are going to be talking about safety today and really developing a safety culture among your drivers. We're going to talk about some funny stories and some real life practical steps that you can take today to encourage a safety culture in your organization. So, John, what is your best secret sauce for encouraging a safety culture with your drivers?
First, thank you for having me on today. And I think the number one thing that I can tell anybody that's trying to build a safety culture is starting with your recruiting of drivers. And I know it seems okay, I recruit drivers, everybody recruits drivers. If you want to get to the better drivers to start with your safety culture, you need to do certain things like run a pre employment screening report. You can do that during the hiring process. You get your drivers recruited, you get them, okay, I think I want to offer this driver a job. If you'll run that pre employment screening report first, it will tell you all the violations and accidents that driver has had for the last 3 years, which gives you a lot more information than
Mm.
going through some driver qualification process. Oh, I did a motor vehicle record. I did a drug test. I did this. I did that. The PSP report, which is the pre-employment screening report, which is offered by the FMCSA, gives you everything you need to know before you spend a lot of dollars on hiring your drivers. It's a $10 report. And if you get that report, you can just look at it. So, like with line haul drivers, when I'm dealing with those, I can look at the report and they'll show, oh, this driver had 7 violations at the other contractor or the other 5 contractors. And it helps you to understand what's going on with that driver. So, I can't even express how much it is to start there. To really develop the safety culture, I think the thing I see missed the most is the onboarding process. Okay, got someone like Mitch who's recruiting. I got him. John, I'm running the PSP report. I got it. It's a clean PSP report, but I need him to run tonight. That is the wrong thing to do.
Yes.
So what you got to do is we got qualified safety training vendors in the space. And for me, there are some good vendors, but the issue is the onboarding is a checkbox. Okay, I watch 5 or 6 videos.
Uh,
I check this. The drivers are required to sign off on the door pull procedures and coupling procedures and some other things. That's not onboarding. That's just okay. I checked the box. I did the basics, and the onboarding process is using a checklist, and my checklist is 3 pages long. And I'll tell you what's on it. So you want to cover the in-cab safety part. Okay, driver, you're in the cab. Don't cover my camera up. If you do, we're gonna have serious problems. Wear your seatbelt. Provide your drivers a Bluetooth headset if they don't have one. Get a cell phone holder. Show them all that. Get your truck binder correct. Make sure that your binder is organized. Make sure you have on the outside of the binder information about their DOT number, who to call if there's a breakdown or safety, and then put your documents in order. They should be in the same order for every truck. Put a table of contents. Makes it easier for the DOT officer if it's 900 degrees in Arizona during the summer and they're going, where's your annual inspection? Oh, my annual inspection is on page 2. Just turn to page 2 and there it is. And things like emergency equipment, making sure the fire extinguisher is secure and charged, making sure you have spare fuses, make sure you have 8 days of blank log, make sure the driver knows how to use the electronic logging device. Do they know how to unmount it? Do they know how to transfer the logs? Do they know how to put their trailer numbers in? Do they know how to log in, log out? It's that onboarding process of going through things like that, pre-trip inspection, proper trailer coupling, actually showing the driver how to do that. Now, with small contractors, it's a little harder to do. You may have to get help
yeah.
from someone else at the terminal to do that kind of stuff. But someone to physically get in there and show them how to 5% of the calls that I get are drivers that have ELD issues. And a lot of it is they just don't know how to use it, or at least they tell you they don't know how to use it. And it's things like teaching them how where the reset button is on the ELD, or you might have to recalibrate the screen because someone has big hands and they can't hit the OK
Uh,
button on the screen. And so doing all that onboarding, so you started at recruiting, you really looked at your driver, did the background on it, then you get them onto the onboarding, you have them do the required safety training, and just really work with the drivers. I call it drills. If you want to know about a safety culture, it's doing drills. So we're in the beginning of September, football season. And so think about drills. Drill, catch the ball. Drill, tackle. Drill, throw the ball. Drill, kick the ball. It's the same thing in safety is you want to develop drills with your drivers throughout the year. Hey, let's do a drill on how to pull trailers from the warehouse store correctly. Let's do a drill on proper trailer connections and taking pictures of those connections. Let's do a drill on transferring the logs from the ELD. Let's do a drill on a pre-trip inspection. Let's do a drill on this. And you just build these little things. Video training is okay, but it's just doing that training throughout the year. To me, that is the secret, is the right recruiting, the right onboarding, and then drill, drill, drill on safety. That's the safety culture.
yeah. That reminds me of one thing. I was talking to a couple guys last week, and we're going to have a guest on next week about this, doing the pre-trip
Hmm.
inspections. And one of the things
Hmm.
that they talked about was that the biggest thing they notice is that it gets them in the mindset of doing things right. And so I think that
Hmm.
applies to onboarding. If you start your entire relationship with them in terms of
Hmm.
doing things right, sounds like they're probably more likely to do things right. Whereas if you start them off with this is just a checklist to make somebody else happy down the road or whatever,
Right.
just run your way through it as fast as possible, as humanly possible, because we want to get you on the road. You're gonna set up a culture from the very beginning of your relationship of cutting corners, and
Right.
cutting corners
Right.
is not helpful to a safety culture.
Yeah. It's when I look at a camera and I see a driver, and a driver that's in a uniform shirt, uniform pants, belted, headset, drives the speed limit, I don't have to worry about that driver. Yes, they can make a mistake. I don't have to worry about it. If they
Yeah,
show up in a dirty, ripped t-shirt, gray sweatpants, and Crocs, which happens, Mitch, if they do that, I know that is more than likely an unsafe driver because they don't take pride in on how they are coming to work. Because to me, when I have discussions with drivers, I go, "You are a professional driver. You have more experience than all the four wheelers driving past you on the road. Every day you have
yeah,
more experience, and
yeah,
therefore you need to look like a professional driver." And you were saying it, and I'm trying to tie the ends on that onboarding process is you've got to set the expectations. Like when I said on the camera, you've got to tell the driver at the point of recruiting, there is a camera that's facing you inside the truck. If you cover that camera, you can be disqualified from line haul. Period. It's just
yeah.
it just can happen. And if you set those expectations up, I give you a quick story. I had a driver that refused to wear a seatbelt. Called me up. I sent him a coaching video where I had taken a screenshot video of his video to send it to him. And I said, "You need to wear your seatbelt." And the first call, he cursed me out and hung up on me. And luckily, the owner of that contract said, "Whatever John Davis told you, you better do it." So he called me back, and I had a talk with him. And I said, "What is the reason that you don't want to wear the seatbelt?" He finally told me. He says, "I grew up in the eastern half of Europe, and we didn't have seatbelts in our cars when I was growing up. And frankly, we didn't have cars.
Oh,
You just didn't wear a seatbelt in the region that he was from." And I went, Oh, okay. So I explained the importance. I said to the driver, I said, here's the concern. If you get a ticket for not wearing your seatbelt and that ticket gets turned into line haul, will disqualify you. That's some may allow curative training, but the reality is you can get disqualified from line haul. So when I explained that to him, he goes, okay, I will try to do my best. For 2 weeks, I had to watch that driver that just had to bounce in the camera and catch him wearing his seatbelt. And I would call him out. I go, driver, you're wearing your seatbelt. Great job. What happened in that is he went to the other drivers on that contract and said, oh, the safety guy's watching you all the time. You better wear your seatbelt. So he was my new ambassador at the terminal saying, you
Ah,
better wear your seatbelt. But the real issue was trying to get to the bottom of, okay, why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing
yeah.
whatever it is? The same thing with a pre-trip inspection, same thing with a person that doesn't. I had another one that always missed their 30-minute break. And the issue was he always liked to get to this one exit that he liked to pull off. It was the, but he always was missing it by 29 seconds, a minute, or whatever. Well, got upset with him and threatened to disqualify him because of all these 30-minute breaks. So I had to teach him that, okay, you're on your bump. I see you're at your bump for 28 minutes. If you'll just wait 2 or 3 more minutes, you'll have your break in the middle of your shift and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. So that's building that
Uh,
culture on doing that stuff.
yeah. I like how you bring in a lot of just being a good human, like
Hmm. Hmm.
understanding where they're coming from. I think sometimes companies sometimes might fall into the trap of thinking their driver is like a robot, but these drivers are humans that have a
Hmm.
past, that have a story, that have
Hmm.
challenges, that have other things going on in their lives. And I like
Right.
how you bring up that if you just treat them like a human, ask them like, "Hey, this is important to me. Why is it not important to you?" And then usually, oftentimes, it sounds like something can come out of that. And then praising them when they're happy.
Yeah, don't be
Sometimes,
negative Nelly on everything. Just
yeah,
talk to them. And the other thing about seat belts is in a lot of states in the United States, you can ride a motorcycle without wearing a helmet. So it's ridiculous that we have a law that you have to wear a seatbelt. It should be,
that's a valid
you're.
point. Yeah,
So I have that discussion with drivers. I'll go, listen, this is the game. Think of it as a video game. And a lot of our drivers, they do play video games. And that's on all ages, by the way. And I'll say it's a video game. You don't want to get disqualified from line haul. I'm protecting you from them. And that's really what it's all about because as soon as they get that ticket, that's when it gets
yeah,
really hairy to keep them around. So we've done all this work to get you on board and all that. It's just making sure that they have the
yeah.
knowledge that this can happen.
Helping them understand what's in it for them because I think again we always think about from ourselves like this is going to ruin my business because of this that or the other if you're
Yeah.
not safe you'll get in a wreck and then I have to buy a new
Right.
truck. This
Yeah.
really also has an impact for that driver on his personal life because if he gets a
Mhm.
ticket for just a seatbelt or he gets a ticket for speeding or whatever,
Mhm.
as you and I are teaching people that in your recruiting you need to disqualify people quickly that are not good, that's not going to
Right.
allow him to get another job because more companies are going to be cognizant of that thing. So if they get in trouble, they're not going to be able to get another job. They've ruined their entire career. We help a lot of companies recruit, and they're always looking for safe drivers that
Mhm.
don't have violations, that have experience, and all this stuff. And those are requirements by their insurance or whatever the case may be. Whatever the
Right.
requirement is, they have to hire a good driver. So that's
Yeah.
one thing that's in it for the driver, and then also their life, like keeping
Yeah.
staying alive.
And a couple of things on that is drivers do not care to hear from owners about how it affects the company. They only care
Right?
about
Yeah.
what affects the driver. And
I'm sure
you
they
know,
already assume that you're just laying on your couch, just raining money on top of you. They already
exactly,
assume that. They don't.
exactly, exactly, exactly. Now, the other major thing on the recruiting I will tell you is do not assume a driver coming to your contract is knowledgeable and trained. I don't care how long they've been in the space. Is make sure you do your due diligence regardless of where that driver comes from. And you'll be amazed. I've had that happen where a driver bounces 10 years over here, comes over, and within 24 hours drops a trailer. And that's a major thing. And you just got to make sure that you are doing your due diligence with any driver and just don't assume that, hey, they came from that big contractor over there, they're going to be a superstar. And that's not necessarily the case. So,
Yeah. But we've had some of our clients that tell us they like recruiting people fresh out of school because they can
mhm.
train them the way that they want them to. But that's another really good point with your onboarding. Even if they have 25 years of experience across five
Right.
different companies,
Yeah. Yeah.
then still train them in your way. Make sure that they know it. Even the simple stuff that seems so repetitive and so boring. Just train them on those things. The
Yeah. And
the
then,
other piece with recruiting that some of our clients have told us is also to be constantly recruiting so that you have the confidence in your pipeline that it's like if a driver comes to you and is unsafe, then you have the
mhm,
confidence to say you're gone because of this reason,
mhm.
and you have the confidence to say I can replace you quickly because I'm constantly recruiting and I have a pipeline of drivers. So that's
Right.
one of the things that our clients enjoy having.
You want to destroy a safety culture in a hurry, keep a bad driver. And the
Yeah.
rest of your drivers will go, if you're tolerating that driver, we can get away with anything. This also goes for, I see a lot of safety issues with BCs and managers. And the number one thing I can tell you for your safety program is make sure your managers are doing the things that they're supposed to do. Lead by example. I'll give you
Mm,
some examples. Your manager should complete the required safety training in the first 5 days of the month. We're asking the drivers to do it but there's a lot of times I'm after the manager on the last day of the month going, hey, dude, are you gonna get your training done this month? So you got that. You got managers on the camera who are holding their cell phone. You got managers on the camera that are speeding. You
uh,
got managers on the cameras doing this. You've got to explain to your managers, I expect you to be perfect, because then you will exude that safety culture to say, look, I'm not just talking this, I'm walking what I'm talking. And
yeah,
it really is a game changer, because if your drivers see you sort of, okay, I need to move this trailer across the lot, but I don't put the safety chains on, just moving it from here to there, more likely you're teaching the driver it's okay to move trailers from here to there without the safety chains on.
yeah,
Oh, I'm just going to jump in this truck and not do a pre-trip inspection. Oh, there's another problem. Oh, I come to work and I don't look like I'm here as a professional driver. They've got to lead by example. And this is everything I'm telling you today is not hard stuff. It's just
right.
talking about expectations, doing your checklist, doing some drills, lead by example, recruit. And then going back to what I said a minute ago is if you have a bad driver, terminate them immediately.
Yeah. As you say all this, it's in my mind that we as adults, we're really not as advanced as we think we are. All of
No.
these same I have young kids, my oldest is 9, and we talk about all these things, and that's the same exact thing that we try to do with our kids.
Mhm,
And it turns out as adults, we're no more advanced. We need reminders, we need
mhm,
practice, we need examples, we need to follow a
mhm,
good example. We give in to monkey see, monkey do.
mhm.
And all of us are that way. It's not just drivers that are that way. You and I are that way
No,
too.
exactly, and the managers and the whole system, even with line haul, is we all if we allow bad behavior from one, then it just is like
Yeah.
a cancer. Everybody goes, "Oh, it's okay for that guy to do it. I'm doing it that way," and then that's how it gets out
Yeah.
of control.
Yeah. I need to make sure that like with my third child, we make
Mhm.
sure that she doesn't get away with stuff so that the other two or the other
Oh,
three
bitch, by the
don't.
third one, they could be getting face down in a mud puddle and they're fine. You rub some dirt in it. Yeah, it's true though. It's the same. It's very much same like with your kids is just setting
Yeah.
the rules and they want. I get people say I got all these rules and all that is don't make it so complicated. I see companies and they'll have a 40-page safety manual. That's great. The
Cool.
driver's not going to read it, and just concentrate. If you think about it, there's only a handful of things a driver needs to do well to have 95% of the safety under control. And that's in-cab safety, terminal safety, hours of service with the ELD, a pre-trip inspection, and don't have an accident. Have the invisible circle around the tractor and the trailer, and don't let anything in
Yeah.
the circle. That's really it. If they'll do those things and just drill and do it right,
Yeah.
you just will not have the same any problems.
Yeah. Keep it simple. To wrap up, I was very excited for this last question. We have to wrap up on this. What is the wildest thing that you've ever seen or dealt with a driver on?
I'll give you one that was very interesting. I had a driver call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, woke me up. I go, "Are you okay?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm okay." He goes, "I had a meteor just come down in front of the truck, and I want to see if it got it on the camera." I go, "Okay, let me get up. Let me go look." And I think I searched for about 15 or 20, maybe 30 minutes. And sure enough, this gigantic fireball is this was out west, is streaming right down in front of the truck about 4 or 5 miles ahead of the driver, and just did a giant sonic boom and everything. I go, didn't see that on my bingo card this year. Get something like that. There's crazy stuff I've seen where we've had trucks hijacked. I've seen where we've had drivers do crazy things without stopping, where they have to take care of business, so to speak, while going down the road. You think you've seen everything, and then all of a sudden you get a camera that didn't see that one coming. That it
Yeah.
didn't. But that meteor one always sticks out on me.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Thank you for coming on, John. For everyone
I
listening, I
really
mean, it
appreciate it.
starts with your recruiting, your
Mhm.
onboarding, setting the expectations, and then training repeatedly and teaching by example. I appreciate you coming on and sharing all this advice.
Awesome. Thank you.